We're four friends who live across the globe
and share a love of Bon Appétit's YouTube channel.
So we came together to bring you our thoughts on what BA serves up
and try our hands at recreating their dishes.
Welcome to Pod Appétit. Hi, it's LJ and welcome to another side dish episode with me. This episode, I am going to be making Molly's pumpkin bread with maple butter. Now, I am a massive pumpkin bread fan. I first got hooked on pumpkin bread when I lived in New York, which is where a lot of my culinary awakenings kind of got sparked. I lived in New York from 2007 to 2008, and I was 22, 23. It was a real formative time in my life. I just graduated college and I was really kind of trying to find my way in the world. So a lot of the things that I cling on to these days as a more fully formed adult are things that I discovered back then, pumpkin flavourings being one of them. In the UK, we have never gone nuts over pumpkin flavoured items at fall, autumn or any other time of year. I think you can get pumpkin soup. It's more of a savoury flavour over here, but you would never get kind of pumpkin pie. The concept of putting pumpkin in a drink was just completely alien. And then that all changed when I came over fresh-faced and bushy-tailed to New York when I was 22 and discovered all things pumpkin. And the fact that it could be sweet. I experienced my first Thanksgiving where I had my first pumpkin pie. I had my first pumpkin spice latte, which I had no idea was even a thing because we didn't have it in the UK back then. And of course, I had pumpkin bread at Starbucks. Once I popped, I could not stop. It became my regular order, certainly all the way through fall winter time. I'm not sure if they still carried it in the summer, but if it was there, I'm sure I would have picked it up. I think calling it pumpkin bread is somewhat of a misnomer. It's not bread. Bread evokes some kind of savoury, wholesome, semi-good for you thing. Pumpkin bread in this context is not that. It is full of sugar, it's delightful, and I'm excited to make my own in my own kitchen, cooking along with Molly. So without further ado, I'm going to start watching her video to see what she says about it. The first thing Molly says in her video is that everyone's fooling themselves if they think they're eating something healthy. It's a cake. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's really simple. 2 bowls, 1 loaf pan. Lots of pantry ingredients, which I was kind of gunning this time round for my side dish episode for a recipe that was easier to source ingredients for than my pozole. So I'm really pleased. I basically just had to buy some canned pumpkin because I had all of the other stuff in my cupboards and pantry and stuff. So Molly's introducing it by saying it's the better version of the sad Starbucks pumpkin bread that you get at every Starbucks. And this is exactly why I chose it, because I fucking love that stuff. So I'm sure this is going to be out of this world. So there's a couple of changes Molly's made in tweaking this recipe and honing this recipe. She started with a classic pumpkin bread recipe, and I think she's done her own spin on it. So she's taken out the dried ginger and she's added in fresh ginger instead. So this is interesting. She's got a microplane. I don't have one of those, but I'll do my best. She's just acknowledged the fact that everyone here thinks she's a salty girl. You are, Molly. Just own it. You love the salt. You're a salty queen. First problem, she's spraying Pam on her loaf pan. We don't have Pam in the UK, so I am probably just going to use butter and grease my pan that way, because that is what I would do for any other loaf cake. So I'm assuming that that's no problem. She's put in the baking parchment into the loaf pan so that the sides rise up quite far over the rim of it so that you can use that as a little handle to lift it out when it's cooked. I had never seen this tip before I watched BA videos, and it's absolute genius. I'm sure they didn't come up with it. I'm sure it's something that's been done for decades, but so easy, but something that a lot of people miss, I think. So I'm looking forward to my cake lifting right out of the loaf pan. Famous last words. Oh, room temp eggs. That's interesting. She said it's always best to bake with room temp eggs. I only keep my eggs at room temp. Does that make me weird? I keep them in my pantry. So mine will be fine. So she's talking about pumpkin cakes that are bad, like when pumpkin cakes go bad. And she says one of the mistakes is to overload the dried spices. I know what she means. Sometimes that can taste a bit like soap if you do that. She said you want a 9x5 loaf pan. I haven't measured mine. It's the only one I have, so let's find out. She says if you have a smaller one, hold back some of the batter. But she doesn't say what to do if it's larger other than don't use it. So let's hope mine's the right size. And sprinkle with sugar. She's using white sugar. I would want to err on using like muscovado brown sugar just because I think it'll caramelize better, but should I chance it? I don't know. Or should I stick with Molly's? Let's find out. So this might be the bit that I'm the most excited about, the maple butter that gets served alongside it. You know, I feel like in America was the first time I was introduced to the concept properly of flavored butters. I think before I went to America, I think I'd had flavored butters before, but only in like fancy restaurants. Like in America, they do it anywhere, any which way. Like even at your local diner, you can get a fancy butter. So yeah, maple butter sounds like a wonderful thing to happen to my mouth. So I'm excited to make that. So she's whipping that in the KitchenAid. And she's saying that this makes it a pumpkin bread versus a cake because it's served with butter and not frosting. I'm not sure I agree with that logic. It's still a cake. Yeah. Oh, that's a lot of butter. I'm going to be eating maple butter for days. I'm not mad about it. She's adding flaky salt to the top. I've actually specifically bought flaky salt just for this. I'm so excited. She's using an offset spatula to help release it from the pan so it can cool more. I don't have one of those, so let's just hope that mine comes out all right. Oh, it looks so good. That crust on the top looks so sugary, crystallized, pumpkin seedy. It's delicious. She said it's a quick bread, easy cake, basic as fuck, delicious as fuck. So I could not be more excited right now. Okay, I am in the kitchen and I've done something that I never normally do, but probably does make cooking a lot easier, which is a mise en place, which basically means get everything out before you start so you've got everything to hand. So I've got my butter out of the fridge because once I've made the cake batter, that's going to need to get whipped for maple butter and it needs to be room temp, so that's out ready. And I've got on one counter the butter, the maple syrup and flaky sea salt, and that's for later for my butter. And then on another counter, I've got my loaf pan, and then I've got all the ingredients that I need for making the cake batter. So I don't have to go rummaging around cupboards, and it just seemed to me to be the good thing to do. So the first thing I need to do is check that my loaf pan is the right size. I don't know what I'm going to do if it's not because I don't have any other ones. It says it wants a 9x5 loaf pan. So it is just under 9 inches and just under 5. So I reckon that's roughly correct. First test, passed. Second test, preheat oven to 325 degrees. I don't know what that is in Celsius, so I am going to ask Alexa. Alexa, what's 325 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius?
325 degrees Fahrenheit is 162.78 degrees Celsius.
What? 162.7? That's ridiculous. I'm just going to roughly somewhere around 165. That'll do. Now I need to lightly coat my loaf pan with non-stick spray. As discussed, I do not have non-stick spray because we don't do that a lot in the UK. I have got some some already opened butter that I'm just going to use to grease my pan. When you grease a pan, I guess if you're doing a spray, it doesn't really matter that much, but I always like to make sure that I get that butter into all of the corners and the edges, because that's the bit where it can sometimes stick if you're not careful. So squish it in there. Okay, loaf pan is greased. I then need to line it with parchment, leaving that overhang so that it comes out nice and easy. Oh my God. You know, the one thing I didn't get was fucking greaseproof paper. Oh, I wonder if I'm going to have to send Russ out again. Russ! I forgot to order greaseproof paper.
You know what would be a good bit of the podcast?
What?
You getting shoes on and trudging down to the shops. And...
No. Wally, please get out of here. Oh my God, it's chaos. Thank you for getting me some paper.
I haven't done it yet, I might not.
Yeah, you will. Okay, so we've dispatched a husband to sort that out because I'm stupid. Next step is to get my 2 bowls. How handy, they're right here. And I'm putting all my dry ingredients together. I think that was in the smaller bowl, if I remember rightly. So 2.5 cups of flour. Try and get the second cup. There we are, 2.5 cups. Then after the flour, I need to add cinnamon, 2 teaspoons. All of these spices that we're using today are so fall and autumn-like. I just bloody love this time of year for flavours. 2 teaspoons of salt, which to me seems like quite a lot, but it's Molly, so okie doke. You can tell I'm not sure about it. So then we've got baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon, and then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. What else do I need in this? Nutmeg and cloves. Okay, so nutmeg, I want 1/2 teaspoon. I don't have a fancy, what she got, a microplane, but I do have small side of my box grater. And let's see, I need 1/2 teaspoon's worth, so let's see how much I can get out. I don't want to grate my finger. Nobody needs grated finger in their pumpkin bread, do they? No. That looks like quite a lot. Let me see if I can scoop it into 1/2 teaspoon. I've definitely grated too much. And then 1/8 teaspoon. I don't even have that measure. I'm going to have to use 1/4 teaspoon, fill it up halfway. 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. Okay. What am I going to do with all this extra grated nutmeg? Okay, so is that everything that needs to go in there? I think it is. So it says whisk them together. Oh my goodness. The smell that's coming off of this flour mixture is divine. Right, okay, so in the other bowl, I need the puree, the pumpkin puree. I've got something called Authentic American Food Company's 100% pure pumpkin, product of the USA. It's got a picture of a pumpkin pie on the top. I've used this for pumpkin pie before. It doesn't have a ring pull to open the can, which is what most of our cans. Do you guys have that in America where most of your cans these days don't need to be opened with a can opener? You can use a ring, they put a ring pull on it so you can pull it open that way. Great idea. What an orange, lovely orange colour this is. And here, Russ has come back. Save the day again. Will I ever do a side dish episode where I don't have to send my husband out for something? I don't know. Hooray! Thank you. Okay, where was I? Eggs. 2 eggs. Then ginger. One tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon. Oh, I needed quite a lot. So, okay, right, I'll just keep going. Do this whole stick. 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. 1.5 cups of sugar. That's half. Oh no, my sugar's got a hole in it. It's gone everywhere. Okay, that's a 1/2 cup. Oh my God, there's sugar everywhere. I have to do a real clean-up job on this. I'm gonna get my whisk and get it to come together. It doesn't give any instructions on what to look for, like whether it should have no lumps or whatever, but the sugar's kind of dissolved and disappeared very quickly into the pumpkin mixture, and the egg has also incorporated itself. It then says olive oil, stream it in, whisking constantly until the mixture is homogeneous. So how much olive oil do I need? 1 cup. I am streaming. I'm holding my bowl with the hand, I'm keeping it steady with the hand that I'm holding the cup measure full of oil with. I'm whisking with the other hand, and then I'm tipping a little bit more in. Yeah, I can see why you've got to whisk quite bit by bit, because if you don't, the oil just kind of sits on top. It doesn't incorporate properly. Whew, it's a workout. It's looking a lot smoother as the oil's being added. Never skip arm day when you're cooking in the Bon Appetit text kitchen. Okay, that's the last of the oil. Whisk that in. So then we gently fold in the dry ingredients into the pumpkin puree bit. With folding is a funny thing, because I remember when I first started baking, I was like, how is this different to stirring? But it really is, because you're trying to keep air in. So I usually do a big stir around the edge and lift kind of the bottom up and over. And then I kind of move my spoon from almost 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, then stir. And that seems to incorporate it without losing too much air. I don't know if that's the right way you're supposed to do it or not. It's starting to look more like a cake batter consistency rather than just a soupy consistency now. I'm just keeping going until I see no more dryness. So I think the next thing is to put it into a pan, but I can't do that yet because I need to sort out my greaseproof baking paper. That wide is about right. There we are. I've folded it so that the ends are flapping down, because otherwise they're going to get in the way of me pouring my batter. So I'm transferring my batter to the pan. Oh my God, this kitchen is looking like a mess. There's sugar everywhere, batter everywhere. So my loaf pan is the teensiest bit smaller than Molly's. And I know she said if yours is smaller, keep some of the mixture back, but it's only the tiniest bit smaller. So it's just a little bit, it's just like coming right up to the top, which I don't think is too much of a problem, hopefully. I just can't be, like, the amount I'd have to keep back to make it look like hers is so tiny I wouldn't be able to do anything with it. So I might as well just try and cram what I can in there, I think. Smooth top with a spatula, I've done that. Then scatter pumpkin seeds over the batter, pressing lightly to adhere. So how many pumpkin seeds do I need? Half a cup. Pumpkin seeds are such a fun colour. Such an interesting autumnal green. Ah! Oh, someone on the floor. Why does that never happen in the test kitchen? I decided to go with Molly's advice and use the white sugar rather than brown, as was my instinct. I just thought the brown might... Oh no! I lost some sugar. I just thought the brown might look more crystallised, maybe, but I could be wrong. I lost a bit of sugar on the floor, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. So then, I think, bake bread. Rotate the pan once halfway through, which is not something that Molly showed on the video, but I will do that. So I'm going to cook it for 40 minutes and then rotate it, and then cook it for another 40 and then check it. Let's get you nicely in the centre of the oven. There you go, mate. Do well. Right, bear with. I'm going to clean up my kitchen because it's looking like a bomb's hit it. And I'll be back for maple butter very shortly. My kitchen is brand new, clean. I found all the attachments for my KitchenAid in my drawer of doom, which is just where I shove anything that doesn't really have anywhere else to live. But we're going to use the KitchenAid, which is one of my favourite pieces of kitchen equipment. We're going to use it to make the maple salted butter, which I'm very excited about. So the first thing I need to do is measure out my butter. Now, butter's always a tricky ingredient to figure out when you're cooking from a US recipe in the UK, because you guys can buy butter in sticks, which seems to be a unit of measurement over there for butter. We don't have that. They come in like little rectangular packages, 250 grams, and they come with little lines so you can cut them into 25 gram segments. But I have no idea what the conversion is of 1.5 sticks of butter into grams. It does say or 3/4 cup. Again, not hugely helpful because this butter is in a rectangle and it won't fit into my cup sizes. So Oh, that's some soft butter. Let's get you into half a cup. That off there into KitchenAid. What does it say to do with this butter? Use an electric mixer on a medium-high speed. I'm going to say that's at 6. Beat the butter in a large bowl, scraping down the sides until light and fluffy, 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, I've just seen that Wally is using... Wally. That's my cat. That's hilarious. I've just seen on the video, checking it, that Molly... not Wally, my cat. Molly is using the whisk attachment, which I am not using. I'm using the beater. So that might be why it's not getting enough air in. Let me see if I can find the whisk. Ah, there it is. Swap out that. I was looking at it and it was just kind of going liquidy. And I was like, that's not getting any air in it. Try this.
I'm going to scrape down one more time, but this is starting to look like a pale cream colored. And I can tell that it has a lot of air mixed in.
At the moment, mine looks like heavy cream. I'm hoping that I haven't ruined my butter. I'm gonna scrape down the sides a bit. Have I ruined it? It said beat. I'm confused. It's like if it was cream, I'd call it stiff peaks. I don't know if that's right. Is that correct? Is that how it should be? I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to get any more out of it though. I might just give it another couple of minutes at high speed and see. I don't know, guys. It doesn't look like Molly's. And I don't know if that's a problem or what. It just looks like whipped cream. Not fluffy, aerated whipped cream, just like if you'd whipped up some heavy cream. That might be the best I can do. I've whipped it definitely for over 6 minutes. So, what does it say? Add the maple syrup and the salt. A 1/4 cup of maple syrup. I love maple syrup. Oh, one of my favourite things about Thanksgiving is the fact that almost everything gets covered in either maple syrup or cinnamon or both things. That's not me drinking the jug, by the way. It's me licking the cup measure. Okay, so that's the maple syrup, and then 3/4 of a teaspoon of flaky sea salt. Oh, that's the timer for turning my loaf. Let's have a look how it's doing. Oh, it's risen so much. I'm worried it's going to fall off. Let's drip off the sides. I'm turning it. Oh, it looks really good, guys. Going back in. Pumpkin seeds are falling off. Oh boy, I'm excited. And I'm going to just mix it till it's incorporated, I think it says. That looks great. I think it's fine. Put it in a little ramekin like Molly did. Oh, that tastes so good. Oh my goodness. That's divine. Oh, it should be illegal. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is some whippy butter. Yeah, this is good. I was worried that mine didn't look as aerated as Molly's, but I think it is. It started to come together a bit actually when I added the maple syrup. It just sort of made it feel more substantial rather than just liquidy. There are bits of maple syrup that haven't quite combined in. I'm just scraping off of the sides, but I quite like that there's little droplets like suspended in that whipped butter. Oh my God. I'm just eating butter. I'm pretty sure this is not good for me. That salt. It's so good. Pop you in the fridge, little man. Is it wrong to take this much pleasure from butter? Yeah, sex is great, guys, but have you had Molly's maple salted butter? Don't even at me. Okay, my timer has gone off for checking my bread. That sizzling you can hear is me starting dinner because it's getting late now and I need to eat some food before I have a massive slice of this pumpkin bread. But I'm going to check to see if it's done. So I'm opening the... Oh my goodness, this has risen so much. I don't think it's quite done. I think it needs another 10 minutes. Back you go. Okay, the timer has gone off again. God, this is such a big boy. I can't stress it enough. Yeah, that looks done. He's coming out. I'm gonna leave him a little while in his tin before I try and lift him out. I'm a little bit concerned about lifting him out because I had slightly too much mixture for the tin. It's kind of exploded around that lip. So therefore it's exploded around the paper that I would use to lift it out. The sugar hasn't caramelized in the way that I thought it would. It still just looks like I've dusted it on top. But it's opened at 2 seams. It's looking cute. Okay, so I've actually had my dinner because I was getting hungry and it needed to cool down. So it's just been sat cooling in its tin. I've not tried to get it out yet because I wanted to get that on recording. So here goes. Oh no, I feel like because it's gonna break. Oh my God, I think it's gonna break, but it's gonna break off the top as I lift it out unless I can lift it out some other way. Oh fuck. Oh, I'm so sad. I feel like this means I won't get a good picture of it. I'm gonna take a picture of it now. Oh dear. The slices will still look good. Okay, right, I'm just gonna go for it now. The top bit's gonna break off, but it is what it is. Oh shit, my paper's broken. Oh my God, this is a disaster. Okay, I got it. Oh no, oh God. Oh no. I don't know what to say about this other than this is a massacre. A pumpkin loaf massacre. Right, I might take a picture so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Oh God, right, okay, I'm sure it will still taste good. You know what? You win some, you lose some. That's what BA is all about. I think the most important thing, especially if you're just cooking at home for people who love you, is how it tastes. Oh, it's very cinnamony. It's very mapley sweet from the butter. And it's just got that hint of salt in it, which is a Molly trademark, but I think works so well. It's good. It's really good. I just wish I hadn't fucked up the lip of it. So I have Amanda who has agreed to join me to commiserate over my pumpkin loaf. Amanda has seen the video that I took of me trying to decant the loaf from its pan onto the cooling rack. So she knows everything about what's just happened. So that happened, Amanda.
I watched the video that you shared with us that I loved. I mean, I don't know if you'll end up putting it on social media or not.
I will. I probably will, yeah.
I love that you're going like, Russ, stop filming me and help me with this. And he's like, okay. And he just keeps filming you.
No, he didn't say okay. He just shook his head. He's like, nope, I am watching you struggle. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, you know. So it's not going to win mine anyway. It's not going to win any prizes for looks. So it's basically fell apart. But
well, because I watched your video first and like when you first sent us pictures. Mm-hmm. And I just watched Molly's video earlier today. And really, I think other than like yours sort of ballooning out on the top, it looked a lot like hers. It was just like more on the top of it.
So you want to know why that is? It's because Molly says in the video, you may remember, don't overfill your pan. Like she says, if you've got a smaller pan than we recommend, then just do a separate batch of mixture like after. So I measured my pan and it was like just under, like by a couple of I don't know what the increments for inches are. They're not millimeters, but like, do you know what I mean? It's like just a few
quarter
notches.
Of an inch or something.
It was like tiny amount, and I just thought the batter that will be left over is not going to be enough to do anything with, and I don't want to waste it. So I was like, I'm sure it will be fine. I'm just going to put it in, and that was what did it. Like, it just was too much. So all I would say is when they say don't overfill the pan, like actually don't overfill the pan. Like,
Yeah,
listen to them.
to Molly.
Don't try and be cocky. Don't try and think it'll all work out. Like, baking is one of those things where things have to be, like, precise.
But, I mean, other than that, did you feel like it was pretty successful? I mean, I know that it's kind of funny and silly and it overflowed, but, like, as far as, like, the taste and everything else went.
Yes. So I loved it. It was absolutely delicious. It's exactly how Molly describes, in that it's like a Starbucks pumpkin loaf, but like better. One of my favourite things about it is that it has all those yummy, warming kind of fall flavours, like the cinnamon and the pumpkin kind of flavour, but it's got that hit of salt as well, which is just delicious. And I have to shout out the star of the show, in my opinion, is serving it with that maple butter, because
my God,
I cannot tell you how delicious that butter is.
I was watching that and I was like, I cannot wait. Like, literally, I was like, when is this coming out? I think after I do my banana bread
Yes,
episode.
I think it's the next one after, yeah.
Okay, which is funny because I've not yet made that banana bread as we're recording. Since we've last recorded, I've moved. So I'm in a different kitchen now that has a television in it. So I was eating my lunch and watching this on the TV in the kitchen. And that maple butter came on. And I just like set, because I was eating like bread with goat cheese. And I just like set it aside. And I was just like watching this butter thing happen. And I was like, I cannot wait to talk about this with LJ.
It's so good, and it's so easy to do. Like, it's that good that we actually, the yield for the recipe gives you way more than you need for the loaf, in my opinion. Like, I didn't, unless you like,
sure.
I mean, I guess if I made it again, I would slather it on more because I was worried about running out. So we had a bunch left over, and I've just been like eating it from the fridge, like just a little spoon here and there, because it's just like, it's not ice cream, because it's not ice cream temperature or texture even, but it's just like a little treat, because it's you've whipped up that butter to such a amazing like consistency, and then just the maple and the hit of salt, it's just it's like divine.
I was going to ask about the flaky salt. Were you able to find the flaky salt?
Oh, yeah. I always have flaky salt.
Of course. I'm like, ooh, flaky salt. So exotic.
No,
but,
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, no, flaky salt, you have to get the flaky salt. The crystals are so much bigger, so it just gives you that bigger ratio of, like, that little hit of ratio of salt to maple, and it was just divine. It was so good. It's so good. I might just make that again.
No joke. I was like, okay, I don't know if I would make this pumpkin bread because I'm just not into pumpkin as much.
Oh, okay.
I mean, pumpkin's fine, but like, it's just like when everything is pumpkin flavored this time of year, I'm like, okay, it's overkill. I can't.
I love
handle
it.
all.
It's funny because before I lived in America, I thought the idea of eating pumpkin as a dessert was just ridiculous, because I was like, pumpkin's a vegetable. Why would you have it in a dessert? So I was really, and this is quite a common reaction when you talk to British people about pumpkin, or it used to be, certainly before it was more popular over here. So when I went over to New York, I was just like, I guess I'll try some pumpkin pie. And like, I had some, and it was just like the most delicious thing in the world. And I was just like, okay, so I'm on board the pumpkin train. I cannot fathom not eating pumpkin from now on, from every fall from now on as a dessert. So yeah, I'm really into pumpkin sweet things.
I need it in moderation. I don't need it constantly. But that butter, I felt like I could use that when I make the banana bread.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I could make that and you bring it as like a treat for like holiday things.
You could have it on pancakes.
Have you used it on like your morning toast or anything like that?
No, I haven't. Morning toast. Shout out to Jaslyn up in 10 Club.
Yes.
No, I haven't spread it on my morning toast or Jaslyn. I've just been like eating it with a spoon, but I think I'm not sure that's the best way to eat it. I think it would go with lots of different things. I would recommend trying it with toast. I would say if you're worried about having pumpkin in moderation, I would try maybe 1 year, maybe this isn't the year, but like next year just be like, I'm not going to eat anything pumpkin apart from I'm going to make this one pumpkin bread recipe. Because
so
it's
how
so
forward
good.
is Is it that good?
Yeah.
Is it super pumpkin forward, or
No.
does it? Because I know she used a lot of spices and stuff too.
Yeah, so it's really cinnamony, and there is a pumpkin flavour, and it gets that amazing orange colour inside when you cut through. But I wouldn't say it's really, because like pumpkin pie is pumpkin forward, I think, normally, even though you have the spices in it. I would say it's more spice forward than pumpkin forward. And it's very sweet, but it's very salty as well.
I feel like it's that balance of the sweet and salty, like, together. It's like way people like salted caramel.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, it's better than that, I would say, even. Because I feel like salted caramel is another thing that's everywhere.
So is this going to be a recipe you think you do repeatedly, like every year?
I'm already planning to make it for Thanksgiving for my family so that they can understand
nice.
the just the awesomeness. It's really been a revelation. Normally I make pumpkin cupcakes like in the days before Thanksgiving as like a little something to have around as like a snack, or when people come over to give it to them. But I'm going to make this year. It's going to be amazing.
Are you going to do anything differently? I mean, I know obviously pan size, like you'll be more aware of that, but is there anything else about the recipe you think you do a little differently for the Thanksgiving?
No, I think the pan size was the massive mistake, and it is a huge one that no one else should make. Like, I made it so no one else should have to. Everything else, like all the flavorings were great. It was really easy to pull together. Like, I was actually worried that this episode was going to be super boring, because I was like, this has really been very simple and I've not had any problems. And then obviously the disaster happened at the end.
Overflow.
So at least there was that to give it some interest. Hashtag content.
Oh, I was going to ask you about the fresh ginger versus like the dried ginger, like what your take was on that.
That was interesting, because I would never think to put fresh ginger in a baking recipe, much less grate it without peeling it. I've always peeled fresh ginger because I just figure the skin looks pretty, I don't know, like it's just come out of the ground. But she says you don't.
It looks earthy.
Yeah, she says you don't notice it, and it's really true. You don't. What's the word? It's not necessarily a stronger ginger kick, I don't think. It's more kind of fresher, like a brighter ginger. Because, you know, like dried ginger, it can just all meld and get a bit heavy, I think. Whereas this felt like lighter, fresher, zingier, I suppose.
Now, at the end of the video, Emil comes in, and clearly it was from the start, where he's like taste testing all the dried goods.
Oh, yeah.
Did you make Russ do that?
No, I'm not that cruel. I have actually, as a kid, for some reason, I think my mum was making cookies or something, I don't know, and she had the flour and the butter and all the ingredients out, and I don't know, I just thought, flour's in loads of things that I like cakes and cookies and stuff. It must taste really nice, and I just took like spoon in and just had some, and my mum didn't stop me because she knew what was going to happen, and I was just like, oh my god. She was like, yeah, you won't be doing that again, will you? I was like, how is this so disgusting? So no, I already knew that flour tastes disgusting, so I wasn't about to make Russ do that. Yeah. So thank you very much for helping me discuss pumpkin loaves and maple butter, Amanda. If and when you ever do make it to London, it will be something that I cook. I will welcome you with baking.
I look forward to it when I make it back overseas again.
Thanks for listening to Pod Appétit, a Bon Appetit fan cast.
We'd love to hear from you, so find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest at pod_appetit.
And on Facebook at Pod Appétit Podcast.
You can also email us at podappetitpodcast@gmail.com and find all of our episodes on our website, podappetitpodcast.com.
Until next time, the test kitchen is closed.
Hi everyone, we're your beer drinking babes. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Maggie, and we're from Rock Candy Podcast.
Every week we bring you a story from the world of music while drinking thematic beers.
Did you ever wonder how much Charles Manson inspired the music you love today?
Did you know that Joy Division and New Order are virtually the same band?
Are you aware of how weird Kesha really is? Like how she had sex with a ghost?
Do you also not understand what Post Malone is? Because we don't.
Well, we got you covered. Behind the Music isn't around anymore, but we're here to pick up the slack.
And be a little drunker.
Yeah, so go ahead and look for Rock Candy Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, or wherever you catch your pods. And with that, party on, kids.
Party on.